Hey everybody, we're going to do a review this morning on two of my mowers, and I'm going to say the good and the bad. In this case here, sometimes I'll show a tool, and if it's a piece of crap, I'm going to say it's a piece of crap. This case here, both mowers are good mowers. They're both within they're within $40, $45 price point wise. I normally keep two, and they've always been Hondas. So every 5 or 6 years, I'll roll out on one of the Hondas, buy a new one. Normally the bag is ripped. Something goes on where I don't think it's worth buying the parts to keep the other one going. It's easier for me to go. I want to say these are in that $599, $699 price point, depending on where you buy them. I normally look around, and it's funny because you can go from dealer to dealer. I actually bought this Honda from a Honda dealer in southern New Hampshire, cheaper than I could have, like Lowe's. And I don't believe there's any difference in the smaller equipment. A lot of people say, oh, big box store stuff different. I've bought Husqvarna chainsaws within a year of each other because of deals that came up. And you look at them, you take the covers off, there's really nothing different. Sometimes you'll see a carburetor is not adjustable. They got plugs on them, you got to pull out or something like that. Whatever reason, where a Husqvarna dealer will normally tune the saw before they give it to you. That is what you do get from a dealer. I bought the Honda at the time because it was cheaper than the Husqvarna, and I was thinking about going Husqvarna. And same thing, a Southern New Hampshire Kubota dealership had the Husqvarna mower, and it was I want to say $150 more, something like that. So I said, I'll just stick with the Honda. So I get a call after I buy the Honda. Like 2 weeks later, the dealer calls me and says, hey, Husqvarna's running the deal. And after that, I ended up getting it because it was like $50 cheaper than the Honda I just bought. The problem I'm having with the Honda mowers is there's bolts that go through the rear wheels, and when I go touch up a property, I normally have all this stuff on a trailer, flatbed. I put the gate down, they wheel on, I strap them down. There's a lot of cases where if I have to just go touch something up, I'll throw a weed whacker and a mower on the back of my pickup. So when you set them down, I'm not rough with them, but apparently it's rough enough sometimes to break that bolt. It's happened to me probably 4 times. It's something that never used to happen. So this case here, I'm going to show you the good and bad of both. I don't believe I'll be buying another Honda. And it ain't because it's a piece of crap. It's just my experience with it, the cost of ownership. I'll show you up close what these are. This is a Honda twin blade 3-in-1 system is what they call it. It's a 160cc, which that's another problem I think Honda's having. I think they're sticking, that must be their mainstream motor, because I believe my first one of the series, it's the same. I pretty much replaced them with the same thing. So if I did need to interchange parts or whatever, I could. But I think it could use a little more power, to be honest with you. So the Husqvarna, this isn't the first one I've had. I did have one years ago. Same thing. I think I went to a dealer and they had a good deal on it, so I bought it. I think we kept that 5 or 6 years. And the problem I have with the Husqvarna stuff is, at the time, my daughter still works for me. My wife was helping me a lot then too. They don't like the Husqvarna stuff because it was heavy, and it's heavy built, which I like. This case here, I actually think this Husqvarna works better. It mows better. The best way I'm going to put it is this vacuums your lawn. This doesn't pick up your grass clippings. You drive over something and it's in that bag. It also will fill that bag to the point where it's like almost hard to dump out, where the Honda gets to a certain point and the grass will stop falling back in. My wife will use this Husqvarna in our yard and tell me, hey, go change the bagger because it's so heavy. So they both got some hours on them at this point. The Husqvarna, I believe I put blades on twice, or a blade on twice, because it's a single blade. The Honda has this twin blade system. One's basically just as a pickup blade, I think is how it's designed. You replace those, I think I'll probably replace them 4 or 5 times on that in the same amount of time. which again, that's where the cost of ownership comes in. That double blade's way more than the single blade for the Husqvarna. I tend to buy the Honda blades too, even if I gotta order them. If I know I'm gonna bring it in, I'll have my wife order them online, or my son-in-law orders them online. The other problem I've had, I believe this one front bolt and both rear bolts I think have broke on this since I've had it. The rear tires that are on this are off one of the other mowers that I basically potted out. The newer the Honda goes, the quality I don't think's there. The tires scun right off to the point where they were bald and getting kind of like they were going to crack through. So I switched them from another mower. What happened is I had a couple of these around. Normally when I retire from the business, we keep them in the yard. I'll leave one up in the field and throw it in the lean-to up there, but we'll mow around the yard with it for a little longer if it's able to. What we ended up doing this time is my son-in-law took a couple of my old mowers and made one good one. And I kept a few parts off. I think I kept a pull start and I still got one wheel that will fit the back of that. But we just brought both of these mowers in and I did an oil change, filter, plug. We put new blades on the Honda. I just sharpened the ones on the Husqvarna. But that Husqvarna is all-wheel drive versus that just being a rear-wheel drive. And that's when that makes a difference. When I bought this, I was still doing some residential stuff. And one of them I did, the guy paid me good money because he wanted part of his lawn push mowed because it was like a rolling hill. And the company that he had hired before me used to do it with a zero turn and it would bridge and all those rolling hillside, you know. So you'd get, his grass would get scun on the top and it would leave like 4 or 5 inches on the base of the, you know, bottom of the hill, I guess you'd say. So that's when that was nice going. It was probably, I mean, that one section of his yard was probably like a 1/4 acre. So it wasn't easy to do. With everything else I did with a zero turn, but that's when that one really shined because you were going up, it was uphill plus rolling hills. It was kind of a weird, and that, again, that's when my daughter loved that thing, when we were still doing that contract. This is probably the 4th or 5th Kohler motor I've got on equipment through the landscape business now, and I've had no issues with any of them. That's a 173cc. I wrote it on it, and you'll see that I write it, but it's just because the stickers came off, because I power wash these probably 2 or 3 times a year because they get built up. But I wanted to show these. I'll flip it up. So this one's got the twin blade system on it. Like I said, them have mowed my yard here once. We also put my son-in-law tuned this one up for me, and I did this one because I just didn't have time to do them both. So, but anyways, another thing on this one is I believe we put a new belt on that because it was starting to have a traction issue, and I believe there's a idler pulley or something he changed on that. So right now, as cost of ownership, that Honda's cost me a lot more money. And a homeowner, I mean, you buy a lawnmower, either one of these, a homeowner, I'd like to think you're going to get 8 or 10 years out of one of these with no issues at all. A lot of my issues come from being a business, and I'm loading and unloading them off a truck or on a trailer. The Honda has what they have called Smart Drive. I've had a few different ones. I had another one I think that had the system. It was so the thing would stay running and you could just engage the blades after. It was a little bit different system than this. I've also had mowers that had push style, you know, to go forward. I'd say this is the best Honda's had since I've been buying them in the 90s. This just doesn't fail. And it's banged against the gate of my trailer a couple times before I pulled over. These just take a beating. This is the system that Husqvarna uses. It's a double, basically a double paddle system. But again, that's never failed me. I try to buy mowers that aren't real fancy because, like, when I first bought this, I said the thing that's going to go on it is those cables because they're just hanging out. But I've never had an issue. And again, I've caught these. I've caught those on, you know, when you shove it under a tree to mow close. Nothing's ever broke. This does have a system where you can hook a hose to it. I've never done it. Some people might like that. I do think this is probably thinner than the last couple I bought, even though they look the same. This system here, same thing. It's take a beating. I do like how you can shut it off, so you do the mulching. This one here, you basically just shut the rear gate and it mulches, but it does work well. It doesn't have any clumps come out the back. Yeah, like this time of year, we're running the baggers because there's a lot of leaves every week, and we just deal with it, you know, till we do the fall cleanup. The Husqvarna, this is called the Premier Cut, I guess, is what they write on the side, but they do a stamped deck, which this is definitely thicker, heavier. They also put a piece of round stock and tack weld it. So when you hit curbs, and that's the one thing that these do take a beating on is the properties I have to wheel it across the parking lot and jump up over a curb with it to get it up on the lawns. So they're both, I'm gonna say they're both good mowers. Cost of ownership, I'd say the Honda's been worse. These both start pretty much one or two pulls. Once they sit all winter in the shed and I take them out in the spring, one thing I will say about that Honda will start in one or two pulls. This thing here, I'll probably have to pull 7 or 8 pulls to get it started. I put them both away with True Fuel in them, which I'm a big fan of that with any of all my small engines, even my Honda motor that's on my screening plant. I'll run that out of fuel the last day I'm using it, put True Fuel, run it for like another half hour, and then it's good for it. That motor, for whatever reason, that sits all winter. That will start probably in 2 pulls. So I think price point wise, these have, a lot of people might say, well, that's all-wheel drive. It's not a good comparison. I compare my stuff by, you can go buy either one of those for within $50. At the end of the season, they normally discount them. It's little things. I believe the original pull starts too, the original ones I was getting were made out of sheet metal. This is a plastic. That does stick once in a while, but you just tap it or pull on the string and it will go in. So like I said, I figured I'd do a review. I'm going to show them both work in the video. I'll do a couple walks across the lawn with them so you can see there's leaves in my grass right now, so I think it'll be a good video. And like I said, they both work well. I used to think the Honda was the best. I'd say, oh, these things vacuum your lawn. Then I got this Husqvarna for a single blade. This is probably the best mower that picks up grass clippings that I've ever owned out of all my mowers. I've bought Toros over the years. I know I've had some Lawn Boys. Same thing, when I first started, my Lawn Boy was a 2-stroke, which I don't even think you can get them anymore, but that was a good mower for, back then I want to say, that was not late 90s probably when I bought that. I'm going to say that was $229. These mowers now, these are all, I believe the cheapest you're going to get either one of these right now is $599. And that to me is the cut up, the $500 to $700 is all I'll ever give. I don't care. And I don't like, Honda makes some real fancy stuff on top of this. I mean, power wise, but I don't want $1,100, $1,200, $1,300 on what I call a push mower. These things make me my money. But I just figured I'd put a video out and show what I like and don't like. So again, this Husqvarna's had blades put on it. It's been tuned up a handful, I think 3 times. Same with this, except this has probably had blades put on it a few more times. It's had some bolts replaced, the wheels replaced. I'll show the blade. That one's seen some action, to be honest with you, but I sharpened it and it's still, I'm gonna run that, like I said, for the rest of this season. It's kind of a weird thing. We've been getting a lot of rain and we are mowing a little later than I thought we would be this year. So that's another good thing about the Husqvarna stuff is I believe all of them are still single blade. And that blade, like I said, that's seen some action. It seems to be pretty level still. I took it off and I hand filed it to get it cleaned up. I'm not that guy. I don't just change my blades like, oh, every 6 months I'm going to put new blades on. Blades are getting expensive compared to what they used to be. Used to be able to go buy a blade. Now, I bought that one at Napa. I can't remember what I paid for it, but I know it was probably, I want to say it was 1/3 of the cost of the double blade thing Honda had. So cost of ownership is something to think about. Before I did this video, I looked them up because I wanted to make sure I was being honest about the price point. But price point, these are within $50. You're getting all-wheel drive, which that system hasn't broke. Nothing's gone bad. The wheels are still the original wheels. They both have probably the same amount of hours on them. If you can go down and buy the kit, like I believe my son-in-law picked up the kit for that was the air filter plug and oil. If you can do that with any of your mowers, I think you're better off. Using their brand, whatever they use for oil, I think you're always better off. The Kohler, I believe that, I think the plug and the filter came as a kit, and then I bought the oil, which I do believe I used the Kohler oil on that. Again, I'll stress that in this video too. I think it's well worth buying the original replacement stuff when you can. In this part of the video, I'm going to do a quick 2 passes with each one and show you how they work. Like I said, they're both good mowers. I personally, I was a Honda person most of my career. I think that Husqvarna is the one to beat as far as quality of cut and how it vacuums the lawn up. But we'll do a quick run with them. So I'll show you the quality. To the right's the Husqvarna, to the left's the Honda. I think the greatest part of my yard to do it in, but I figured there was leaves and whatnot that it would show it picks up. And I let the grass grow a little longer than normal here, but you got your leaves kind of twisted up into the grass. They both do a good job. I do believe that the hard to tell with this, but they both bagged it. I do believe that you can definitely, the Husqvarna will pack the bagger. That's one difference. That bagger on the Husqvarna, and I think it's because one's 160 cc, this one's 173. That's the only bad comparison that I can, that's in the video. Some people might complain about, but price point, even now, these are within $40 of each other. And one's all-wheel drive, one just rear wheel. I'm just saying, at this point, like I said, I'm going to do videos. I think they're both good mowers. The Husqvarna is a little bulkier to lift up. Like, again, I'm going to say they're both good mowers. I used to think Honda was the one to beat. I believe everybody's stepped forward now with their mowers. But if I was to go replace one of these today, I'm going to be replacing it with a Husqvarna, not a Honda again. They both have the same amount of hours probably on them. They get used equally. Cost of ownership, the Honda is going to be more money too, because everything about it, the filter was more money, the blades are more money. That's a single blade system. This is a twin blade, they call it. This is more CC, so that it is more power, and you feel the difference. But I'm saying price point, this is what you would get comparison wise in the price point they're in. I believe I paid I want to say $5.99 for both of them. Right now I believe that's about $50, $45 to $50 more than the Honda, but it's a lot more mower too. But I just figured I'd do a video on them. Like I said, sometimes I'm going to say this one's a piece of crap, this one's good. This case here, they're both good mowers. It's a lot of it too is fit. You stand behind the mower and you don't want something that's uncomfortable to use. So someone might find the Honda. The Honda is definitely lighter to throw around. So if that means something, if you're going underneath bushes all the time and have to drag it back, and my wife finds she likes the Honda better, I find I like the Husqvarna better. So but again, when we go to replace it for the business, I think my wife will agree, we'll probably end up going with the Husqvarna. I just think you're getting a little more for your buck right now. This is probably one of 4 Kohler motors I have right now, and I've had no issues with any of them. I believe that's got a little bit bigger fuel tank, and even though it's more CCs, I think that runs longer. Even though it's a little bit bigger tank, I think even on equal gas, that Kohler will run a little longer, which is surprising to me. Honda starts a little bit better. Like I said, these are getting ready to get put in store, you know, the shed for the winter. I think my commercial properties, what I got to do there now is going to be on the big mowers. So these will both get put away with True Fuel in them. That Honda in the spring I'll pull out of the shed to get ready to use again. That's probably going to start in 2 pulls. Probably going to have to pull this, you know, 6, 7, 8 times. Not a big deal. And then same thing, once you start this, it's a 1 pull. You just see it start in 1 pull. But when they sit, the Honda does seem to be, that's still the motor to beat as far as the way they start. Noise wise, I'd say they're both about equal. So then one's no more comfortable than the other when it comes to the noise thing. But I just thought I'd show that part of it. Like I said, when I buy tools, if they're good, I'm going to say they're good. If they're bad, I'm going to say they're bad. I'm going to be doing a handful of reviews on tools. This is the time of year I bring them in. Like I said, that just had new blades, all new filters, oil change. That one just needed a sharpening, but all new filters, oil change. Maintenance wise, I've had to put wheels on this and 1 bolt in the front. The blades are just normal. Depends on what happens. You hit something or whatever. But the quality of the Honda, every time I've bought a Honda, which is every 5 or 6 years, every time I bought one, I think the quality of it's worse. Right now, I think for the money, you're getting a better bang for your buck with the Husqvarna, and I'm going to say that in this video. Still not going to say this isn't a piece of crap. These are both good mowers. My preference next time, I'm probably going to be sticking with the Husqvarna. We're going to end this review video here. And if you like my content, please like and subscribe. And thanks for watching.